Well, it's that time of the day, that time of the show on a Friday where I'm joined by a special guest where we mull over the big stories of the week, and very lucky tonight to have the lovely Christine Rankin, of course, former politician, former deputy mayor. What else did you do, Christine? My gosh, a long illustrious career.
Do you know, everybody thinks I was a politician and a national politician or whatever you want to call it, but I wasn't. I was the chief executive of Work and Income. I was never in politics as such. I've been a local body politician for a long time, but that's so different.
Oh, I love it. All right, okay, well, there we go. We've stumbled at the first hurdle, but that's all right. I do know, Christine, every time I saw you, you had the most amazing earring collection. Do you still have that?
Yes, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pairs and several granddaughters to fight over them. Where I'm training them about what they need to put on their ears, because this conservative rubbish is just not on, is it? With the little, dainty, delicate things.
I'm with you. Yeah, no. I love earrings so big that I've had hoops that my husband reckons birds could land on, but that's, you've got to have big earrings. I mean, I just make a statement, we'll go home. Well, Christine,
absolutely.
Look, how fantastic that you're here. No, look, let's jump in, because we've had actually quite a bit of big news over the week. Let's start with the charter schools that was announced by Associate Education Minister David Seymour at the beginning of the week, a budget of $153 million for up to 50 charter schools. Now, this has always been a passion of his. There were charter schools prior to the Labor government, the last government, but they were quashed, they were stopped. What do you make of them, Christine?
Absolutely love them. Look, I only hear anecdotal things about them. There is nothing formal to tell us whether they're good or bad, but every single thing I've heard about charter schools, I work with someone now who was the financial director for one, and while they had to close because government funding was withdrawn, that was an absolutely vital service that now hundreds of kids that were being looked after where they can't be looked after in the regular system, they're just gone somewhere and life will never be the same. So this is great news to me. I think it's fabulous.
Yeah. I mean, I spoke with the president of the Secondary Principals Association, Vaughan Coolio, who actually was quite tactful. I mean, obviously I was expecting the unions, the schools to go, and they have. They've gone, no, this is ridiculous, never going to work. Vaughan was actually quite, he said, well, obviously one size doesn't fit all for all students. I'd like to see how it will unfold. He was actually very quite diplomatic. But yeah, I think, Christine, there's definitely a place for it, and for the kids that for some reason state isn't working for them. I mean, Vanguard was a perfect example. It was military based, and the kids there thrived.
Absolutely thrived. When I was with I was the chief executive of the Conservative Party. Vanguard School was where our office was, and I remember being invited there, and look, the success stories and the way those kids talked about what had happened to them, they hadn't fitted into the normal system. Some of them had terrible, terrible lives, and the structure of Vanguard let them absolutely excel. I don't get this union attitude that they've got to fight this. Why don't they just get on with what their people do and support them in what they do and leave the rest of it alone? I can't see the threat. Wasn't there a report earlier this week or last week about neurodiverse kids who just don't get what they need? Yes. Well, surely to God, this is a way of meeting that need. And the normal system can't cope with those kids that are challenged with all kinds of complex things. Now, here's another opportunity.
Well, I always call it tribal, Christine, when it comes to where I feel the schools are coming in from. It's like politics and whichever party you like. People get really, they get tribal. They're like, it's my party and we're right and you're wrong. And I think with the state schools, they're like, we've been doing this for years. We know what we're doing. So don't come on our turf, or don't even try and think. I think that's the feeling I get from them. But you're right. It's just...
And it's sad.
Yeah.
There is room for everyone. There is need for specialist services, and those kids deserve the same opportunities as anyone else. I know a little boy that's got ADHD, and he goes one day a week to a nature school, and that's the one day a week, and he's very, very smart, but very different. And that day is the one day of his life that he absolutely loves about school, because they do the things that he absolutely loves doing, and he feels like he's successful. Yeah. Holy hell, if we can give that to everyone, what different outcomes we will have.
Yeah. I spoke to Police Minister Mark Mitchell over the week as well. He, along with the Commissioner Andrew Costa, announced the National Gang Unit that will crack down, they say, on gang crime and gangs' antisocial behaviour. Christine, I want so much for whatever they're going to do to work. There's a lot of talk about cracking down on gangs by National, and then, everyone that comes into power has their own way of doing it. I really want this to work because something has to be done. I don't know if they have enough fun. I asked how much this is going to cost, and they have no costing yet. And you're looking at an already stretched police force, and I don't want to put the kibosh on it yet, but I don't know. It's got to work. You've got to get buy-in from the police that they want to do this. What do you think of it?
I think the police will buy into this. The police have been treated appallingly by the previous government. They have been disregarded and made to look stupid over and over and over again, and they've lost within police. I think there's been a loss of support for what they were forced not to do, if you like, and I think they want to do this. I have to believe that the government will resource it, because it'll be the government who ends up looking really bad if this doesn't work. This is what the vast majority of New Zealanders want. And the left can talk all they like about loving them into being okay, which is what the previous government did. It isn't going to happen.
No.
And New Zealanders have a right to be safe, although gangs mostly pick on each other. But their reign extends a long way because they're into drugs and prostitution and that kind of stuff, forced prostitution. So, yes, they do a lot of damage, and I think New Zealanders don't want it to happen. There's only a small number of people who stand up for the old way, and most people know that that's just ridiculous. The argument's ridiculous. But what the government has to do is make sure that the funding is there. I like Mark Mitchell. I think he's gutsy. He says it the way he sees it, and then he acts on it. And we haven't had that for a very, very long time.
There is something about Mark, and I've had kind of a privilege to know him for quite some time now, just through other things that I've done. He's been there, and I've always found him to be, for the fact that the guy is an ex-police, policeman, and then he went over to like the Middle East and ended up having a firm there, and he saw action pretty much. He's a pretty tough guy. When you meet him in person, and you'll agree, he's got the nicest guy. He's almost like a big teddy bear, but you wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of him. But you're right, he's got that determination. I saw the stand up when they talked about it, and one of the bloody lefty reporters said, but do you really believe that you're going to be able to take patches off them? I mean, come on. And he said something like, you could see it in his eyes. He said, look, yes, I do. And here's why. Because if we just think, we'll throw our hands up and go, you're right, it's too big a problem, that's like waving a white flag. And I refuse to do that. It's like, go Mark, go Mark.
Exactly. And that's what people want. They want that strong, clear leadership. And this is the first time we're really seeing it out of, look, I know it's a coalition government, but out of the national part of this government, because they tend to be in the middle and be more conciliatory about things, where the other partners are sort of very much to the right. And I love when I see national members of parliament with some courage, because courage is what it's all about. And when you dumb everything down into that middle ground, you get nothing and you make no progress. I would support him every step of the way. Some people don't like it, but I love it.
Wonderful. You are listening to the Friday Fun Forum. My special guest is Christine Rankin. Before the break, one more topic and then we'll take a quick break and come back. Kiwis are leaving us, Christine. Last one out, turn the lights off. We've got a net migration loss of 52,500 New Zealand citizens, and it's the first time it's exceeded 50,000. They're all off to Aussie. Fair suck of the sav, mate.
Australia is it is magnificent. Look how tempting when you think that they earn so much more, the cost of living is lower, they get to take more home. But Australians don't like us very much. We all pretend that we're mates, and we're really bound by something that you can't quite put your finger on. But when you go there, they give you hell all the time that you're a New Zealander and they hate your accent.
Yes.
And, that live there have to get rid of that accent as quickly as possible to try and pretend to be Australian.